Qualifying is ready to go here in Macau for the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup. And for the first time, it is a two-part qualifying process because we are going to have 30 minutes and then we take the top 10 drivers and they will do 2 timed laps in the Super Pole shootout to determine the front of the grid. So the first part, if you like, is about not being slow. The second bit is very much about being quick. David Anderson and Alan Hyde are trackside. The cars are going to be released in the order that they finished the second free practice session, and that means Alessio Picariello in the Porsche and Rafael Marciello in the BMW will go ahead of Sheldon van der Linde, and then Ian Schenguven, Laurin Heinrich's Porsche, the Ferrari there of Guia Circuit, ahead of Christopher Hauser, Antonio Fuoco, then Joel Eriksson. The number 37 Ferrari was Andy Deng, just going through shot. And there at the rear is the Benjamin Goethe-driven McLaren. After him will be Luca Engschler and Eduardo Mortara's Lamborghinis. And then Laurens Vanthoor, slowest, you might think, in FP2 if he's the last out. Well, sort of. He never got into FP2 because the car was virtually destroyed in FP1. He was the fastest, and then coming through Mandarin, his bogey corner, the car ended up with a spin, went into the barrier backwards, did big damage to the rear and the front. There is Vanthoor in the background. The car's had a new engine as well, so it's had to be completely rebuilt in a little over 24 hours. Laurens Vanthoor has been a winner here in the FIA GT Cup, and he's now pretty much attacked Mandarin corner in just about every conceivable style. Forwards, backwards, upside down, sideways, you name it.
But he is always incredibly quick, never write him off. And he showed the pace yesterday, and the car rebuilt. What a job by the team, and as you would expect, showroom condition. A concourse car.
The Tempo by Absolute Racing team operates the blue Porsches, one for Alessio Picariello, the Belgian driver who won GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup this year and has done the bulk of his racing of late in Asia. The other for Laurens Vanthoor. Tempo, in case you were wondering, is a make of tissue, a bit like Kleenex.
Yes.
So thank you. They needed some yesterday to help mopping up the damage after the Vanthoor accident. However, although the entry is a little smaller to 16 cars this year, it really is a quality one, and trying to work out who is not going to break into the top 10 is going to be difficult because, in theory, all 16 are capable of being up at the front. Sheer numbers means you can't be. We'll wait and see who ends up dropping out. 30 minutes then for Q1, and you'll see Lamborghini, you'll see good, strong Audi representation. And this is the Malco hairpin through which the cars turn. Laurin Heinrich ahead of the pack in the gold Porsche. Ian Schenguven's car out of the Schumacher CLRT stable is either silver or platinum, depending on how you feel about that.
The world's best GT drivers all convene here for the FIA GT World Cup. What a treat this is. Beautiful cars, mouth-watering cars, cars that we dream of, competing around a driver's circuit, a bravery circuit, and we're about to see qualifying over 2 sections. So we see a unique qualifying session, the like of which we've not seen here for the Macau GT World Cup. It's going to be fun to see how this pans out, but Laurens Vanthoor's team, to get that car turned around and to be presented as, you know, I don't think we ever questioned that it would be.
No.
Absolutely beautifully presented Porsche 911 GT3 car. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, still don't bet against him being at the front.
Absolutely.
One manufacturer that we don't have this year for long reasons, Mercedes-AMG, and that means we don't have, and it seems odd without him, Mauro Engel, who has been a regular winner at Macau, won the event last year, and I know Mauro would love to be on the grid. No doubt he's watching from back home.
But we'd love to have him here.
Well, yeah, but he is kind of here, if only in plastic, because if you go and buy a model of his winning car of last year, there's a Mauro Engel tiny little figurine that comes with it, and I gather a roaring trade has been done.
I think we're sold out of that. Was that right? They didn't have that one, but they certainly did have a model of the car from last year, slightly bigger model as well.
Yeah.
And I remember the joy that he had. He was still in his overalls some 2 hours after the race last year, and absolutely soaking up the win.
Yeah.
So however many times you win here at Macau, everyone is special.
It is indeed. And this could be a driver to do it this year, because Alessio Picariello has, in a sense, flown under the radar a little bit in recent years, but he's a very, very good driver indeed. He's been a double champion in the European Le Mans Series in the GT class. He's been a winner in the Audi R8 Cup, the Asian-based championship. Very, very versatile, can leap from team to team, championship to championship, and this year, as I say, has won the GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup. Didn't win a race, but it was a consistent enough season to take the title from under the nose of Mauro Engel, Matteo Cairoli and Lucas Auer. So Picariello will be the first one through onto a quick lap. The one thing that we were worried about yesterday was the pace of the Lamborghini, because neither Luca Engschler, back after his big crash last year, nor Eduardo Mortara really were all that rapid. Mortara, you tend to think of as Mr. Macau. Well, he's won 10 races here, but the last win was back in 2017.
It's a long time ago, isn't it? And many occasions he's come here into this very commentary box to give opinion about maybe the Macau Grand Prix or any form of motorsport here at Macau. He always had a really good opinion and really good insight into what it takes to focus around the Guia Circuit here at Macau. Interestingly, on this opening lap and the early part of this session, Eduardo Mortara has put in an overall best sector in Sector 2, something he didn't do at any time yesterday.
This is Vanthoor trying to get everything up to temperature, and then he can pull the pin in the Tempo Absolute Porsche, comes up towards the timing line, and Vanthoor goes by last year's FIA World Endurance Champion, but a winner of just about every 24-hour race going. He's won his class at Le Mans, he's won at Zolder, the Nürburgring, Spa, he's won the Bathurst 12 Hours twice, he's been a German Formula 3 champion, he's won Intercontinental GT Challenge, he's won Blancpain GT Sprint and Endurance and overall, you name it, Laurens Vanthoor has won it, and he's on the run now down towards Lisboa as Sheldon van der Linde's BMW just went out of shot. That's the car that's quickest in Sector 1. Picariello is quickest in Sector 2. And Christopher Haase at the moment, with the Audi number 45, has done the best lap time. Really good to have Christopher Haase back, and it's great to still see involvement from Audi, because we're not finding that in Europe, of course, now with the efforts. Whoops, van der Linde getting himself crossed up and in the wall with the efforts going to Formula 1, and the road almost blocked as Eindhoven Guven comes across the stricken BMW. Van der Linde ought to be able to hook himself out of there, but that was his error. Understeer just didn't quite get the car slowed down enough for Moorish. Yellow flag at turn 16. There is a reverse gear in there. If he can hook it back away, he'll be able to rejoin. So let's have another look. He comes up the hill and just misses his braking point. Can't get the car slowed down. Understeers to the barrier. And Sheldon van der Linde, who had been on a good lap, third fastest, but bringing out a yellow flag. And Alessio Picariello comes through now in the Porsche to try to improve from fourth, and he goes fastest.
With 4 out of a possible 5 overall best sectors for Alessio Picariello, and 2:17.480. By the way, I think we should give a mention to number 11 to Guven, who was able to avoid the BMW just in front of him. That was really good avoidance, because at that point I don't think the arrow board to keep left and away from the BMW had been able to have time to get out. But we need to recover the BMW, and for that reason we have a red flag.
We do indeed. Yeah, you're right, the board hadn't come out. Guven was first across the scene and was just able to dodge through, so it looks like it's got itself slightly stuck. I thought it was able to reverse out of that, but Sheldon van der Linde will lose the best lap time for causing the stoppage, and van der Linde's BMW then stuck in the tyres. He'll want to try to get back with the car under its own steam rather than be put onto a flatbed and take no further part of the session, but he is the cause of the stoppage, and the best lap time of Sheldon van der Linde's WRT BMW is accordingly cancelled, we're told.
22 minutes just over when we get this session resumed. I'm not sure it's going to take too long to get the BMW recovered, you know, and we can get this session back underway. By the way, Rafael Marciello had just put in the overall best sector. We're looking at Eduardo Mortara, and it's significant as well when you see Eduardo Mortara and the absolute concentration on his face around the Guia Circuit. Barely blinks. It's quite incredible, the intensity of a lap around the Guia Circuit at Macau, and known so clear as when we have those shots of Eduardo Mortara working in his office inside the cockpit of whatever car he is in.
It was 3 years ago, wasn't it? One of the COVID years, where he was on the front row of the grid for the GT race and went too early. He went with the pace car, as it was for the rolling start, left the grid, and Mortara went with it without waiting for the green flag and was penalised accordingly. And he was fuming, wasn't he?
And we were surprised. I think everyone was surprised
that he made that error. Yeah. But he saw the car, the official car go, the leading car, if you like, and went with it rather than waiting for the green flag, and for that he was given a penalty.
So into pit lane they come. That is Eduardo Mortara, 10 wins at Macau. He was superb in single-seaters for the Macau Grand Prix. He has been superb in GT cars as well.
Yeah, double winner here in single-seaters, and winner in GT cars. He's won qualifying races, main races, both some years, and he's also won the odd support race like the Audi R8 race. In fact, 2013, you could argue, was probably his best year because he won in 2 different categories. He won the GT race and the Audi race.
That's right, yeah.
That's Benji Goethe in the McLaren, run out of the Optimum Motorsport stable. And that's Adley Fong's Cinema Roll Audi.
Isn't that a great livery?
Do tell us more
about Cinema Roll, who is a character from the... You don't want to know, do you? No, you don't want to know.
We've had the red flag specially so you can tell me this.
Well, I can have my Karomi folder from last year and tell you that Cinema Roll is a white dog who lives at Cafe Cinnamon, and is a male, white and chubby dog with long ears that enable him to fly.
Ah.
He has blue eyes, pink cheeks, and a tail that resembles a cinnamon roll. What do you think his main hobbies are?
Oh, I don't know. Boring people senseless.
Eating.
Ah, that'll be it.
Okay. Yep.
Right. Are you done, or have I got time to go and punch myself in the face?
I'm not going to give you all the details.
Oh, thank God
because
for that.
I don't think you're genuinely interested.
Now, let's have a look at Porsches, because Alessio Picariello, who is the fastest driver in the session, and he has arrived in the pit lane, and he is without cartoon characters, flying dogs or cinema rolls or anything.
Just on another point about Cinema Roll and that livery on Adley Fong's car, the attention that it gets locally is immense. They are queuing up from 6 o'clock in the morning just to get the little model or the T-shirts or anything. It is something unique to this region of the world. And we got you a T-shirt, in case you're asking.
eBay. Thanks. Right, there. More and more drivers returning to the pit lane. Where have we got Van der Linde then? He's now 10th, isn't he? So with the time taken off him, he drops to 10th. And that's a bit marginal because, as others have yet to do a lap time, I reckon he's not going to get into Q2. So Sheldon Van der Linde is now looking at being near the back of the grid. There's a car there with a flying dog on it. Did you notice? The session is going to resume in about 4 or 5 minutes' time, yeah?
Plenty more time to chat.
Can't see many Cinema Roll T-shirts in that crowd shot.
Because the queue is so long, but this is mine.
It's works well on radio, this.
Yeah,
yes.
It does, yeah.
Alan's got his T-shirt, everybody.
Yeah.
He's very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adley Fong's not overly happy because he's not got a lap time in yet.
He was, for a little while yesterday, top of the times, wasn't he?
Yeah.
In free practice.
Very experienced driver these days, Adley Fong. He used to race in the UK, you might recall, in British Formula 3. That's going back, can you believe, 15 years.
Is it
when
really?
He raced his first race in British Formula 3.
Goodness.
He was the Audi R8 LMS Cup champion in 2013. While Eduardo Mortara was winning the race here, Adley won the championship here. He's raced at Le Mans in the Oak Racing LMP2 entry, and he's been a regular in different colours. What Alan failed to tell you was that Cinema Roll is joined by Chiffon, Espresso and Mocha, amongst others, the other characters. Oh, he's gone through his file again.
No, I would have told you, but you sort of stopped me short. I had another paragraph.
Oh, well, save yourself, because, you know, We're not done yet. Sheldon van der Linde's BMW.
Did you do your own homework on Cinema Roll?
Somebody sent me information.
Oh, no.
I felt it rude to turn it away. The BMW is on the back of the flatbed, and we're not too far away then from getting the circuit clear. Whether or not he's allowed back out remains to be checked. So at the moment, the cars that are outside the top 10, Guia FR, well, he ought to be in. Laurin Heinrich, he ought to be in. Rafael Marciello, he ought to be in.
Definitely.
Andy Deng, capable of being in. Adley Fong, capable of being in. And Antonio Fuoco should be in.
Yeah.
So, who's on the bubble? Well, van der Linde, there he is. Sheldon, the South African driver, I think he's gone. Lawrence Fantor is marginal. Mortara, Goethe, Engschler, 8th, 7th and 6th, they might be in jeopardy. This is going to be really, really interesting. We've barely had a lap out of everybody. We've got a lap out of 9 drivers. In fact, yeah, van der Linde has been put to 10th, but the best lap taken off him, well, it was his only lap. So he's going to end up without a lap time, potentially.
I don't think it was that bad for the BMW, but requiring a flatbed recovery. I think we thought maybe just reverse gear and on his way.
So as the drivers get ready to resume the session, then we will have the cars ready to go very shortly. And when they do, Alessio Picariello will be the driver to beat. So it's Porsche, Porsche, Audi, Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini, McLaren, Lamborghini, Porsche, and those are the 9 with a time right now. Meanwhile, if you spot yourself on the screen, this is the reaction down in the grandstand at Lisboa. Session is going to be resumed in just under a minute's time, as the engineers are on the radio. It's down for the Audi squads, as you can see. The car of Adley Fong coming from the Uno Racing team, and it's FAW Audi Sport Asia Team Phantom for Christopher Haase and Joel Eriksson, who's raced here in the past in the Formula 3 Grand Prix. He was runner-up, in fact, in 2018. 32nd board shown, and so 22 minutes of Q1 and then 2 laps each for 10 drivers for Q2 remains.
Looking forward to getting this back underway. 22 minutes and 19 seconds in prospect, and a great mixture of manufacturers and cars, as always, for the FIA GT World Cup for the Macau Grand Prix. And let's see what happens. Green flag is shown, session back underway, and this is not the final session of the day, of course. They will go into this shootout for pole position. 2 races over the course of the weekend. Qualification race tomorrow, and the big race for the GT World Cup on Sunday. Here we go.
Right, that's silver or platinum?
A platinum.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Why, do you know better?
No.
That sounds like Adder's on a trick question.
No.
Right, okay.
I was saying yesterday it was silver. You often thought of platinum, and I was just trying to work out how you differentiate it.
Because he is a platinum driver, and Heinrich is a gold driver.
Fair enough. Go with that as a theory. Like that. That's good. So, Andrew Gruber, this year's DTM champion in the platinum coloured one, and the Turkish driver, sponsored by Red Bull, came out of Porsche One Mate Racing, won the Super Cup, won Carrera Cups around the globe as well, and also winner of the very first FIA GT Nations Cup, kind of spawned the Motorsport Games that will be hopefully back next year.
But whether it's platinum or silver or and gold, they look absolutely spectacular. Just gorgeous.
Yeah, Colm Ledegar, the CL of the CLRT, a very good racer himself, GT champion, but without any fanfare, just stepped away. Started his own team, didn't say I'm retiring, just started appearing in the pit lane, and you were conscious that he's not raced for a while. But there was no fanfare to it, but he's built a really big team running lots of different cars. In GT4 last year, for example, he was running at least 2 different manufacturers within the same race, which is pretty unusual, and that's on top of One Mate Porsche programs and GT Porsche programs. So it's become a very busy operation in a really short space of time.
That was part of his junior racing career many years ago when he was competing in Formula BMW, and part of his media training all those years ago alongside Anne Bradshaw. And he was one of the nicest guys we could deal with. He's a lovely bloke.
first time that his team has been here. It's the first time that Einstein Guven has been here. Laurin Heinrich was here last year. And Rafael Marciello yet to do a lap of time, incidentally. Didn't bother going out with everybody else, just let it breathe, and he's gone out on his own, so he's not going to get caught up in any traffic. Marciello knows how to play this game at Macau. He's been a winner for Mercedes. Of course, last year he switched to BMW, and fittingly, his last win in a Mercedes AMG was here.
And he was exceptional in single-seaters around Macau as well.
Yep.
He's got a rich history here at Macau, and another really nice guy, isn't he? A really good guy to deal with, and incredibly quick.
And so laid back. He's the most un-Italian Italian. A few years ago, he won a GT World Challenge Europe sprint race with Timo Bogoslavski at Valencia, and the question was put to him, how many wins is that this year? And Lello's answer was, don't know. It just doesn't count. Just gets in, drives very quickly, goes home.
Does the job.
Might get a trophy, but yeah, we were bouncing up and down with the fact that it was his, whatever, 4th, 5th win of the year. And yeah, in Rafael, in his land, doesn't matter, don't care. Just, you know, I want to win, but the numbers don't matter. Absolute best sector 2, Christopher Hauser in the Audi. Not this one, this is Joel Eriksson's car that we're looking at. Very distinctive Audi engine note that these R8s have made. It's been a very loyal servant to the GT3 category as the R8. It's now on the second generation Evo 2, but even so, it's been a hugely successful project for Audi Sport, and it's great that there's still involvement in Audi Sport, at least as far as the Asian market is concerned, where the cars sell very well.
Overall best in Sector 1 for Rafael Marciello. Came out later than anybody else in the number 53 car, and that's the intention. Sector 1, overall best. Christopher Hauser with, as you say, David, overall best in Sector 2, but Rafael Marciello, one to watch here.
Yeah, and with clear track space, then pole I would offer you ought to be his. Picariello's Porsche, Dorian Boccolacci's Porsche going down towards Melco. So just under 18 minutes of this part of qualifying to go, and then you take the top 10, they go out in reverse order, 2 laps, and you count your better time. See how close they get to the wall coming off Fisherman's Bend.
So
Picariello, I think, in the background, wasn't it? That's Christopher Hauser. And this has been a good lap for Christopher, has it not? 4th, and he might go top here, let's see. 2nd he goes behind Picariello.
Eduardo Mortara has just been overall best on Sector 4. We said that Rafael Marciello went overall best in Sector 1. Sectors 2 and 3, personal best for Rafael Marciello. But Eduardo Mortara, this might be his best time so far, goes 6th. So Eduardo Mortara with a 2:18.032, and that was pace that we didn't get an insight to yesterday. Macau.
You did say yesterday you could imagine the Lamborghini team making representation about its BOP. Well, I'm getting pretty convinced that did happen, because the cars look a lot racier today than yesterday as we go on board with Rafael Marciello, who is heading towards the end of the lap. This is R Bend, and he's heading up towards the timing line. The time he's got to try to beat is now Yeyefei's 2:17.3, and Lello goes through and goes up now to 4th fastest on a time at 2:17.660. So you've got Ferrari from Porsche, Ferrari from BMW, Audi from Lamborghini, then Porsche, Audi, Lamborghini, Ferrari. Yeyefei, winner at Le Mans this year with Robert Kubica and James Hansen, is fastest by 1/10 of a second.
Impressive that, isn't it? 2:17.306, that's the time we're aiming for now, with Picariello going overall best in Sector 2. Rafael Marciello once again. I had this theory yesterday that year after year the BMW is really, really good in the first sector, and Rafael Marciello rather proving that for a second consecutive day. It was either he or Sheldon van der Linde yesterday that were going overall best in Sector 1. It previously always used to be Augusto Farfus qualifying or racing. It was always that first sector, and Marciello goes overall best in Sector 1 once again. Picariello overall best in Sector 2. Fuoco overall best in Sector 3. And I love this, we're getting these overall best sectors for 3 different manufacturers.
It's true, shows how the BOP works, doesn't it, in GT racing, as there, 911, is Alessio Picariello, whose lap might have just tailed off a little bit, because he did 2 really good sectors at the start, but 3 and 4 have not been so flash. Joel Eriksson's Audi has just gone to the top of the time, to 2:17.074. At the moment, the ones outside of the top 10 are Fantor, Goethe, Fong, Guven, Heinrich and Van der Linde. Van der Linde is going to be at the back because of the accident, we know that. He won't be able to take any further part, as now Picariello goes across the line and stays third fastest. Here is Antonio Fuoco, who led last year after some demon overtaking moves. Laurin Heinrich's just done an absolute best in the fourth sector. Adley Fong and Cinnamoroll are on their way down now towards our bend. Dorian Boccolacci is in the pits, Luca Engschler is in the pits. Fong will carry on, Fuoco carries on. Both of them go through toe-to-toe, and Fuoco goes second. Adley Fong still 13. This is Laurin Heinrich, who did an absolute best sector 4. Andy Deng has just gone by 11, he doesn't improve. Heinrich goes by, goes top in the Porsche. Laurin Heinrich then quicker by 0.4 of a second from Joel Eriksson.
2:16.602 now, the quickest time out on the circuit, and first time that we've seen Laurin Heinrich at the top of the times over the course of this weekend.
On board with Rafael Marciello, who has just improved, Alan.
He's gone second, has Rafael Marciello, 2:17.028. Only one car in the 2:16s, and that is Heinrich in car 22. Top of the times, Rafael Marciello on the previous lap went overall best in sector 1. Hasn't done that this time, hasn't even gone green or personal best in sector 1. So Rafael Marciello maybe backed off a little bit at the start of this lap, getting himself ready. We've still got 13.5 minutes left of Q1 for the FIA GT World Cup, Macau GT Cup. I still think there's plenty more to come from Lawrence Van Thur in that rebuilt car.
And I think Goethe still has a lot to offer as well. So you've got two cars to keep an eye on, and Joel Eriksson's Audi to be third is an outstanding effort, given that it's one of the older cars in the entry, and they're not really being developed anymore in the face of the opposition. Laurin Heinrich still pressing on in the goal Porsche because he's doing absolute best. This, though, is Fantor as he comes now down towards Fisherman. So right now, this rebuilt car is outside the top 10. Lawrence Fantor needs to get in, of course, and we've got number 19, Luca Engschler, being investigated for overpower. So the technical team will want to just check all the telemetry to make sure the car is not offering more than the regulation power. Over the timing line has gone Fantor. He has improved. He's up to 8th fastest, and quite a number of them now heading down the pit lane.
So fascinating stuff as ever whenever the GT3 cars are out on circuit. They're so big on the tight and twisty sections of the circuit here at Macau. You almost wonder how they thread their way around, and they do so with amazing pace and expert drivers at the very top of their game. World-class drivers here at Macau. Laurin Heinrich, top of the times, 2:16.602, yet to complete this lap. He's gone purple in two sectors, and that last lap was a 2:16.795, backed off just a little bit on the final two sectors.
Interesting, isn't it, that the Porsches 1 and 2 are split by 28 thousandths of a second, but they're run by different teams. This year the cars have torque sensors on them. Porsche was one of the manufacturers that was quite keen on introducing that regulation, and it seems to have paid dividends. You've got BMW 3rd, Audi 4, Ferrari 5, 6, Audi 7, Porsche 8, Lamborghini 9, Porsche 10. This is Ian Guven, 13th, needs to break into the top 10, breaks the beam, goes up to 9th, he's in. That forces out Dorian Boccolacci. One Porsche in and one Porsche out.
Yeah, it was looking like a good lap being threaded together. Nothing to spectacularly go quicker than anybody else in any of the sectors, but certainly quicker, personal best on every single sector for Guven on that lap. 9th place and through. 11 minutes remain, anything can happen here. Lawrence Fantor overall a personal best rather in sector 1, and Guven has carried on personal best in sector 1 as well.
Adley Fong, meanwhile, is charging along, heading up now towards Donna Maria, and he's improving in the sectors. Alan, I feel you should talk him to the end.
Be a great day, wouldn't it, for all supporters of Adley Fong, and he has many of them here this weekend at Macau. Some of them don't even have tickets to get into the Macau Grand Prix, but they certainly get their option of buying the merchandise outside the circuit, and they feel the support. Okay, he went personal best in sectors 2 and 3. Not so in sectors 1 and 4, but it isn't going to be on this lap an improvement in position. We'll find out any minute now. Threads his way up towards the completion of the lap. His best lap, a 2:19.308, which is good enough at the moment for 15th, and then into pit lane.
And Lifong, though, 15 fastest, heads for the pits and possibly another set of boots to go onto that car, another set of Pirellis. This is Eduardo Mortara, who is now 12th, so the Lamborghini is sort of back where it was yesterday. Luca Engel is the one on the bubble now, 10th, his teammate. Mortara's car from the Absolute Corsa team as he comes down towards Faraway Hill. But more and more of them now making the run into the pit lane, a new set of Pirelli slicks to go on. But Mortara just does not seem to be sparkling this weekend. And his teammate Luca Engel has lost laps 3 and 4 for this overpower. The balance of performance stipulates that the maximum power the cars can have. It can be traced, and if you overpower, then lose those laps, and they'll have to address that on the pit stop.
And that's all done presumably through electronics.
Yeah. Telemetry, yeah. Yeah, so it's certainly moved on with GT racing. The cars have evolved, the technology has evolved, and what people can see and how has evolved as well. Over the line goes then Dorian Boccolacci, and didn't get himself into the top 10 on that lap. He's got time to have another go, and he stayed out rather than coming into the pit lane. So Dorian Boccolacci then is 11th. So the ones that miss out, Boccolacci, Mortara, Deng, Goethe, Fong and van der Linde.
And we've got 8.5 minutes of this session remaining. We are on board with, he is known as Mr. Macau. Such a figure here at Macau every year, and you touched on it yesterday, David, in the Grand Prix Museum here at Macau. Has a very, very spookily lifelike waxwork. The waxworks are provided for the Macau Grand Prix Museum by Madame Tussauds, and they are just amazing models. Very, very strange if you're in the museum and you happen to see the model and you happen to see the real life driver or rider as well. They are so lifelike, you do a bit of a double take, and I think even the drivers and riders do a double take themselves.
Yeah, there's one of Michael Rutter, isn't there, as well? There's one of Rob Huff.
The Rutter one is probably the best, I think.
Yeah. And he sadly is not here this year, the fabled motorbike racer, after an injury on the TT.
Yeah.
Right, we've got, as you ride on board with Eduardo Mortara, you've got into the pit lane Rafael Marciello, and you've got Ayensian Guven, who's been a bit of a slow burn all weekend, starts easily and then builds up, which in a way is how perhaps you should approach Macau. He has now done 2 personal and 2 absolute bests in this Platinum Porsche, coming then now onto that fast section of the circuit down towards Arbend. And a 2:17.3 is the best lap that he's done. He's 7/10 away from the top, and as Ayensian Guven, the Turkish driver, comes up towards the timing line, he goes by, and he goes quickest of all, and that is a 2:16.442. He's a 10th quicker than his teammate Laurin Heinrich. It's now Porsche 1, 2, 3.
And Platinum Porsche works because of the alliteration as well, so it's definitely a Platinum Porsche. On top of the times, 2:16.442 for Guven, Platinum driver he is, and car number 11, top of the times from Heinrich in second place in the golden car. Car number 22, about a 10th of a second behind in second place. Gone.
That was Dorian Boccolacci going over the line and going 8, so he's into that top 10, and that forces out this man, Luca Engel, unless Luca can respond, because he's gone better in sectors 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and he's about to finish 5, and he goes back into the top 10. So now it is Lawrence Fantor that gets booted out. Engel goes 8th, Boccolacci 9th, Christopher Hauser's on the bubble 10th, and Fantor is out. Mortara is out. Yes, Mortara is out. Deng, Goethe, Fong, van der Linde, they're the other ones that go.
A couple of surprising names just outside the top 10, aren't they? 2 of them significantly, both former winners here, Lawrence Fantor and Eduardo Mortara, both outside the top 10. However, we have still 5.5 minutes just over yet to run in this qualifying session, the first section of qualifying for the FIA GT World Cup. diminishing light now for the first time here. It's noticeable. We've had a really lovely sunny day here at Macau, local time 20 to 5 now in the evening. The circuit opens up to normal traffic at 6 o'clock, and that's when it's dark here at Macau. And just now, it just starts. I think you might get your wish with headlights coming on for Q2.
Just towards the end, maybe, yeah. The Audis have had a really strong session. Joel Eriksson, who's not raced a GT car here before, as we were saying, he's been runner-up in the Grand Prix, but he's not been a GT racer here. He's going great guns to be 5th fastest. That's been an impressive effort by Joel Eriksson.
5 minutes yet to run on this Q1 section of qualifying for the FIA GT World Cup here at Macau. And wherever you are in the world, you are very welcome to seeing the world's greatest GT drivers competing. And rarely, this is a rare occasion that they don't have to get out of the car and hand it over to someone else. It's mine, all mine for this weekend when you get into your race car. And these are the most beautiful race cars. Here we go. All of a sudden, we go into another gear because Antonio Farocco in the Ferrari has gone overall best in Sector 3, 28.1 in Sector 3 for the number 50 car, currently down there in 7th place. And yeah, Yiffy in car number 83 has gone overall best and therefore 5th place. It went overall best in Sector 5. This session is not over yet, is it?
Far from it. And Dorian Boccolacci 10th, Lawrence Vanthoor 11th. There's about a 1/10 of a second between them, so Vanthoor is the next one to keep an eye on, but the sector times are not yet looking all that flash as Antonio Farocco here comes up to take the run out of our band over the timing line. He's 7th at the moment. He crosses the line to go fastest. 2:16.3, 69 thousandths quicker than Joel Eriksson. So it's Ferrari, Audi, yes, really, Porsche, Ferrari, the top 6.
2:16.342 that time for Antonio Farocco. We had a Ferrari lead the FIA GT World Cup, albeit briefly last year, but it led, and it's
Mortara's up to 8th, so he's just gone in, and that forces out Boccolacci. So Boccolacci is out, Vanthoor is out, Deng, Goethe, Fong, Van der Linde. The one I'm still surprised about, though, is that Vanthoor hasn't got in, but this lap that he's on, we'll pick him up in a moment when we got Benji Goethe over the line. This lap for Vanthoor is looking stronger. Goethe improves, but does not get in. First time that Benji has raced here. First time Optimum have run a GT3 720 McLaren here. So there's a lot of learning and it's all building. So, you know, you can see progress is being made, but it's a single car as well to bring back the data. Now, this Porsche of Lawrence Vanthoor is, as I say, on a quick lap. Sector 1 an improvement, Sector 2 an improvement, Sector 3 an improvement.
Let's see what he can do in the remaining 2 sectors in the Porsche. That car rebuilt a lot of rebuilding overnight to get it looking quite as beautiful as it does. Is it handling quite as well as it did yesterday when Lawrence Vanthoor topped the times and then didn't end up taking the end of the session because of the accident that he had in the Porsche? Well, he's improving on every sector so far. Up towards the final sector he goes, just outside the top 10 at the moment. He's there in 12th place, coming up towards the completion of a lap in car 992.
We've also just had Joel Eriksson's Audi go fastest by 71 thousandths of a second. So Vanthoor is 12. Can he get himself into the top 10 as he comes across the line? The answer is that yes, he can. So Lawrence Vanthoor is 8th at the expense then of Luca Engschler. We just had another improver go by, and that was Christopher Hauser, I think, who's got himself in as well. Mortara into the top 10. This is Dorian Boccolacci down to 12th then. Raced here 10 years ago in the Grand Prix. Never raced a GT car here, and that lap started well but didn't finish the flash. We've only got a minute and a half left.
We have, and Farocco goes top, 2:16.11, 2:16.111, and what are we going to have for Adley Fong? Up towards the line, personal improvements in every sector, and goes 12th. Oh, so close, but brave effort that. Ends up in 12th position, does Adley Fong, and Joel Eriksson has just gone overall best in Sector 2. This is not over yet, is it? Antonio Farocco has gone top of the times. He and Eriksson over the last couple of laps have traded the quickest lap of the circuit, and at the moment Joel Eriksson in 2nd place has gone overall best in Sector 2, personal best in Sectors 1 and 3.
So flying Farocco then, fastest by just over a 10th and a half. Marciello's done an absolute best in Sector 1. Benji Goethe, oh so close then to getting through because he's up to 11th and needs to find just under 0.2 of a second to get himself into the top 10. Now these drivers coming out of Melco hairpin are going to have to work hard to make sure they squeeze another lap out of the session. Remember that after Q1 we have a short break of 20 minutes, and then the cars go out for their 2 laps for Q2. So headlights ablaze to warn the traffic ahead of progress. Down they come. There it is, number 46, Joel Eriksson, second fastest. This has been an outstanding effort by the Audi team and Audi driver. He's up towards the timing line. Checkered flag is out, and Joel Eriksson goes quickest at the very end on a 2:15.927. That is outstanding for one of the oldest cars, driven by somebody who is new to GT racing here. Christopher Hauser has just gone through and gone 7th, so he's back in, and that forces Vanthor to the bubble. So Eriksson, Fuoco, Picariello, Guven, Yeh, Marciello, Hauser, Heinrich, Mortara, Vanthor, the top 10. And you're riding with Marciello. So the BMW is 6th. Remember, it's not necessarily about the fastest time. It is about getting through into that top 10 as Dorian Boccolacci, who's down in 14th, comes over the line, and he improves to go 9th. So Vanthor's out, and Vanthor's taken the flag.
Goodness me, it was right on the edge, wasn't it, for Laurens Vanthoor? And now goes down as far as 12th. Rafael Marciello in 7th place. It's all changed right at the end of this session, but that is significant. Laurens Vanthoor is out of the top 10.
And that all comes back to the accident of yesterday. Marciello over the line to go 3rd and into the 2:16. So we lose Luca Engschler, Laurens Vanthoor, Benji Goethe, Adderley Fong, Andy Deng, and Sheldon van der Linde kind of lost himself, if you like, by the self-induced incident that put him into the barrier. So Joel Eriksson it is then who is the fastest from Antonio Fuoco. So you've got Eriksson, Audi, Fuoco, Ferrari, and then BMW 3rd for Rafael Marciello. Alessio Picariello is 4th in his Porsche. Ayanchen Guven's Porsche is 5th, and Yeh Yifei's Ferrari 6th. 7th for Laurin Heinrich's Porsche. 8th fastest Christopher Hauser's Audi. 9th Eduardo Mortara Lamborghini, and 10th right at the very end Dorian Boccolacci in the 23 Porsche. Joel Eriksson's been an absolute hero in that, for my money. Runner-up at the Grand Prix to Dan Ticktum, and then moving to the DTM for a spell and Formula E. And good to have him back here. But Joel Eriksson, in, as I say, one of the older cars. It's one that's not really being developed anymore, the Audi R8, but in the right hands, it is still very capable indeed. Bravo, Joel Eriksson. So the teams will be given a new set of tyres for Q2, and purely for Q2 as well. But Joel Eriksson fastest then by just under 0.2 of a second. A really impressive effort, that. Rafael Marciello for 3rd fastest. And the target then becomes that 2:15.927 of Joel Eriksson. But the time that you do in Q1 is only to get you into Q2. If you're in the top 10. If you're outside the top 10, it is what you rely on for your grid position. But if you make it through, and Alessio Picariello did, and Laurens Vanthoor didn't, then you wipe the Q1 time and you rely purely on what you do in this 2-lap Super Pole shootout. Cars being waved down the pit lane, 1 or 2 for the scrutineering area, which include Laurens Vanthoor. In the background you see Alessio Picariello, Belgian driver, coming down the pit lane.
It's not just a great sound that these cars make when they come into pit lane, it's also the shaking of the building. We're over the other side of the circuit, and it's just an incredible sound and feeling. It's an assault of the senses. As we see Alessio Picariello being pulled back in pit lane, coming in 4th place, and as the rest of them head into the pit lane, a few of them get picked off for technical checks and go through those technical checks. Shame for Laurens Vanthoor. The team have worked really hard to get that car turned around, but you kind of wonder, maybe it's not quite the car that it was for him yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of new bits on it and a new engine as well. So, you know, the team come up with a car that is, you know, with lots of time spent on it, good for Macau, and they've had to rebuild one, or build a replacement, if you like, in about 24 hours. So inevitably, it won't quite be as it was. So the cinema roll Audi will take no further part, but at least, Alan, you can drool over it for now.
And so can the people here at Macau, because it's been a very popular. There are so many school trips here. Can you imagine the cheer that car was getting going down towards the grandstand for the school kids for today? It brings a lot of people a lot of happiness, I think.
Well,
me included.
I was going to say, you could do with giving some good news for Laurens Vanthoor, because he's had a pretty bleak couple of days.
Yeah.
And a driver that's won here in the past, about to clamber out of the car in a rather resigned fashion, I think. Clearly, there's something else that they need to do on that car. Yeah, you can see off his demeanour, he's not happy.
Yeah, disappointed not to get into Q2. However, the good news is the car is in one piece. It could have been so much worse, couldn't it? You really don't want to, after the team have worked so hard, to have another little moment and make more work to be done. If they're going to work on the car, then they can work on the car to make it quicker. So, confirmation that Joel Eriksson, car number 46, is quickest in Q1. Antonio Ferrocco in the Ferrari, quickest in, second quickest in the Ferrari, number 50. Rafael Marciello, the BMW. So, 3 manufacturers in the top 3, and then it's made 4 by the fact that we have Alessio Piccirillo in 4th place in car 911.
And those that we lose: Luca Engschler, Laurens Vanthoor, Benji Goethe, Adley Fong, Andy Deng, and Sheldon van der Linde, who put himself in the barriers. Q1 is done. The top 10 will go into Q2. So the team's getting ready with, in the case of those ready for Q2, a new set of tyres, and then the drivers will be released out onto the circuit. The 10 cars that get 2 laps each for the Super Pole shootout, and that will round out day 2 here of this 72nd Macau Grand Prix weekend. The FIA GT World Cup, one of the rare opportunities for GT drivers to drive the car solo. They don't have to think about a teammate. They don't really have to think about looking after equipment as well, because this is very much a sprint race format.
Goes against the grain of being a racing driver, doesn't it? They are brought up to believe that they are the most important thing. They are, admittedly, they say it, they are the most selfish people. And then when they have to share a car, when they take a move into I've spoken to a few drivers over the course of the years, and I've said, so how's the move into GTs? Well, I don't like it. I have to share my car.
Exactly, yeah. Some get their hat on with it effectively and invest in their AM, like a Johnny Adam type character, for example.
Yes, yeah.
But others, as you say, are rather selfish on that score. Right, we are awaiting Q2 to get underway, and while we do, Rafael Marciello, 3rd fastest in Q1, and he improved on his last lap. Would be perhaps the perfect person to show us around the circuit, bearing in mind he's been a winner of this event in the past. On board with Rafael Marciello, you're aboard the Rover Racing BMW. flat all the way from the exit of our bend down to Lisboa. Then it's down, 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 down through the gears. Second gear back on the power. Now the climb up San Francisco Hill, and a great noise from the BMW. Through the Teddy Yip corner and heading down Faraway Hill towards Police, which is the next significant right-hander. The road kinks ever so slightly to the left at the bottom of the hill here. You go through the left-hander and then it just kinks left, turn right through Police and then up towards Moorish. Brake very early for a really sharp, really narrow corner. Out of that, up towards Donna Maria. Down to the Melco hairpin. First gear, walking pace, not a lot needed. Stare at the barrier for a second or two, out the other side, back on the loud pedal, speed building all the way down toward Fisherman's now. Marciello brakes early, it seems, but then picks up the throttle, gets out of the corner the other side, down towards our bend, the last corner on the lap. Down through the gears, turns right, fights the car in for the clipping point, up towards the Armco on the outside, and a lap, 6 kilometres of it, around the Guia Circuit down for Rafael Marciello to take the checker flag, and that lap put him up to third. So Rafael Marciello then for Rover Racing, winner here of the Macau GT Cup in the past. He won in 2023, he won in 2019. Former champion in single-seaters. He was the FIA Formula 3 European champion back in 2013. Cinema roll, though, Alan, is done for the day.
Yep, parc fermé conditions for that car. Adley Fong finishes up 14th quickest out of the car, talking to the team as well. And we talk about the fact that Adley every year gets a very attention-grabbing headline livery on the car. I would imagine a lot of work goes on behind the scenes to secure that kind of interest for this weekend, and he does a really good job. The Rofco liveried car, Benjamin Goethe not through to the final 10, but it's really spectacular to have that Golf livery here at Macau this year. And Benjamin Goethe finishes up in 13th position. That's the car that was second in this Q1, the Ferrari, which they do say about Ferraris, and they've said it for many, many years. Whatever angle you look at a Ferrari, it's beautiful. Yeah. And that car in particular, that shape of car, that livery on the car, whichever camera angle we have of the Ferrari around the Guia Circuit, it does look incredible, doesn't it? It's looking really absolutely nailed to the tarmac. Looks superb.
That's the Lamborghini Huracan of Eduardo Mortara, with driver staying in the car, but the door being flat, so there's a little bit of airflow in. And Eduardo Mortara, perhaps one of the surprises actually. It didn't look as though he was going to make it, but sneaked in right at the very end. That's Andy Deng's Ferrari. And there's just been a change on that timing screen. Mortara has just been put to 8th ahead of Haase. No, I'll tell you what's happened. Boccolacci has been taken out and put to 14th. Dorian Boccolacci was, I thought, 8th, and he has been taken out of the times. That's right. So Mortara's up to 8th, and Boccolacci has obviously had a lap time taken off him. So Dorian Boccolacci misses out. That's Luca Angela, who is now being told you're in. Can't get a helmet.
Put your overalls back on and get back into the car. That's not the best of preparations, is it? To get yourself ready for a 2-lap shootout for pole position, which is the way we're going to finish our track action here today at Macau. gets underway early tomorrow morning, earlier than had been planned, because the warm-up session for motorcycles not happening at 7:10. Instead, at 7 o'clock, we have 1 hour of qualifying for the Motorcycle Grand Prix, and then we'll have the Motorcycle Grand Prix tomorrow morning. So 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock qualifying, and then 9:10 until 10 o'clock is the allotted time for 12 laps for the motorcycles, because it was wet this morning. Doesn't feel like it when you think back to it now, because we've had lovely sunshine all day today.
That is Alessio Picariello having a chat to his engineer, and the countdown continues to get the start of Q2 underway here at Macau. In the meantime, this is on board with Guia Circuit, 6th fastest in the Ferrari. Well, we've seen Marciello's lap. Let's ride with the Ferrari, and also on the way to Lisboa, let's just have a listen to the engine. Across the top of the mountain section, if you like, goes Guia Circuit, avoids the stone wall, down to Maternity, sharp right, powers downhill. Careful as he goes then through towards the Teddy Yip corner there, and then the Solitude S's. And the Ferrari down towards Police makes the climb up the other side. Traffic ahead, you can see that he's looming down on, but out of Moorish goes the Ferrari and up towards Donna Maria now. Out of the Melco hairpin, down to Black Sands. Guia Circuit set for 6th in the times in the Harmony Racing Ferrari. The driver that won Le Mans this year. He's won French F4, he's won Euro Formula Open, he's won his class in the Asian Le Mans Series and the European Le Mans Series. Oh, so close to winning the LMP2 class at Le Mans. If you think back a few years, the car that was being run by WRT hit trouble on the last lap of the race, and he lost his win, leading the class. But Guia Circuit comes here as not only a factory Ferrari driver, but a Le Mans outright winner as well. So we are waiting for the cars to be allowed down the pit lane, ready for this second part of qualifying. That is one, however, that will not be moving. Lawrence Vantor's
just a whisker Porsche outside, wasn't it?
And there is the fabulous-looking Iron Shinguven Porsche. Which is probably the fastest mirror that we have. Dorian Boccalacci, who was in, is now not. So that's a Porsche that is done. The FIA technical team consulting in the pit lanes, you can see. And I think part of the delay is one or two of these cars being looked at for too much power, overpowering. And so once we have an order, they can
Three cars were being investigated, I think,
Yeah, we have people losing their lap times during the session, and then Boccalacci, Haase and Mortara being looked at as well. I think we got an answer to Boccalacci because he was shuffled down the order.
Yes.
But whether those investigations are now done remains to be seen. So another 6 minutes until things are underway, we understand. And that is a car that would not surprise anybody were it to be found on pole position come the end of the session. Rafael Marciello and the the Rover Racing BMW. It's a very unusual Rover livery. Normally you expect them to be the white and yellow and grey colour scheme that Rover has had, but that car is in its Macau colour scheme. Right, we've had a look at a Ferrari lap, we've had a look at a BMW lap. Alan has been waxing lyrical about Mr. Macau, Eduardo Mortara, and we might be able to have a lap with the Lamborghini, because that's another car that's going to feature strongly in the course of qualifying. We'll come to him in a few moments. And in the meantime, people are getting ready for Q2. This is an Edo Mortara lap of Macau. Total commitment put in on this section of the circuit, and then hard on the brakes. You can see the gear display down to second for Lisboa. Little lift before he attacks San Francisco, and then the climb up the hill, and it's quite a long climb, that, and when you get to the top you think, oh, I'm there, but not quite, because it's still climbing now. Even though you've gone over a brow, only about here does it start to level out and even think about dropping down. So from eternity, down the hill goes Eduardo Mortara, up against the wall on one side, the Armco on the other. Just lets the throttle trail a little bit as the car slaloms its way left and right, all the way now down towards Teddy Yip. Corner named after the Hong Kong businessman racer, who of course took his own cars into Formula One. This is Police up towards Moorish, a very early break, down to second gear, down to first indeed in the Huracan. Speed builds as he goes up towards Donna Maria. Again, virtually a blind corner, turn in, you don't really know what's all the way around that long left. Out the other side, down towards the Melco hairpin, stand on the brakes, go down to first gear, and the huge amount of lock that has to be put on. Up the other side of the hairpin is Black Sands, and as he goes down the hill, on the left-hand side, he'll even go past a Lamborghini dealership. To third gear for Fisherman's. Back on the power for R Bend, and then up towards the completion of the lap. Fifth becomes fourth, becomes third as he drops down the gears, powers out the other side, bit of correction needed. Mortara, another lap of Macau in the bank. So Mortara, a slow in-lap to the pit lane. The first of his wins here came in 08 when he won the qualifying race for the Grand Prix. That didn't really satisfy, so he came back the year after and won the Grand Prix. And then a year after that, he came and won them both, did the qualifying race and the Grand Prix. 2011, he had his first GT win, and he did the same again in 2012 and 2013, the year he won the Audi R8 race. And in 2017, won in the GT qualifying and main race as well. But it's been a long time since that last win of Edo Mortara's.
Doing other things, hasn't he? He was competing for a while in DTM,
that's right,
and then onto Formula E as well, which I would imagine is a very different form of motorsport to racing a Lamborghini around the streets of Macau. But this
a lot
is
quieter.
Like, a lot quieter. This is like always coming home, really, isn't it?
Well, there's Joel Eriksson out of the car, and that's because he's going to go last, so he's got time to get a bit of air, stretch his legs. Joel's also been away doing some Formula E racing, but he's done all sorts of things since he was runner-up in the Macau Grand Prix, such as racing in the DTM for BMW, and has raced in British GT a few years back with Century. He's driving for the Envision team in Formula E next season. So Joel Eriksson in demand.
He was a BMW junior driver as well early on in his career, and made the step up. Certainly stepped up in that qualifying session, didn't he? That was very impressive. Hadn't given us a glimpse into the fact that that might happen during Q1 until that point, but really impressive that. And the crowd stay right the way until
Absolutely.
the end of action, don't they?
Absolutely. Well, these are the cars to make sure you do, aren't they?
Absolutely, they do.
Yeah. Looking down on the permanent garages, which are used by the cars for the Grand Prix, but the GT teams camp out while their session is live. The GT cars have garages in the temporary structure, which also has all the organisational offices for the FIA and the championship coordinators and the media centre in there. So such is the growth of the event that the building that was built, what, 12 years or so ago now, just can't house everything. So a temporary building has to be erected, and underneath it are the garages for the GT teams. Now the first to go when we have this session is now going to be Luca Engschler. So he is the one who comes in at the expense of Dorian Boccolacci. After that, it will be Christopher Haase, and then Eduardo Mortara. Laurin Heinrich will be fourth away from Guia Circuit, Guven, Alessio Picariello, then Rafael Marciello, then Antonio Fuoco, and Joel Eriksson will be the last to go, which gives you the slight advantage in a sense of knowing what you're aiming for, but fundamentally what everybody is aiming for is an absolutely flat out and error-free lap. Right, where in all of this is Luca Engschler, because he ought to be pretty much ready to go now. We were told that the session was going to start at 17:11, and we've just gone past that.
In fairness, he's had the least time to prepare, hasn't he? Because he only just found out he'd be getting in. So I understand it's going to be another just under 3 minutes until we get this session underway. Q2 for the Macau GT Cup, FIA GT World Cup. It's been a busy day here of qualifying at Macau. Tomorrow is going to be racing all the way. We're going to be qualifying for motorcycles first thing, racing, and then racing all the way in qualification races, and a race for the Macau Road Sport Challenge. Their one and only race over the course of this weekend. They qualified yesterday. They race tomorrow morning. It's one of the local races. Big entry for that race tomorrow, and then qualification races for FIA F4, for FIA TCR World Touring Cars, for the FIA GT World Cup, the cars we're about to see qualifying there. Qualification race over 12 laps, and then the 10-lap qualifying race for the FIA FR World Cup. All of that to look forward to as we prepare ourselves for this Q2 for the FIA GT World Cup, the Macau GT World Cup about to get underway. Just having a look in at Lawrence Van Thurt, I beg your pardon, Eduardo Mortara inside the Lamborghini ahead of this qualifying session, making sure all the correct buttons are pressed ahead of this. And then the Platinum Porsche, car number 11, the DTM champion, Antonin Gervin, getting ready for this qualifying session. Hear the music pumping down in pit lane as well. Everybody getting ready for something we've never had as far as qualifying is concerned for GT World Cup here. This unique Q1 and Q2 format of qualifying. Laurin Heinrich is going to be going out in fourth position after that qualifying and the various technical investigations after qualifying. Just think those two cars look absolutely exceptional. Sometimes you see a wrap that goes on where you might see a little bit of a crinkle here and there or a bit of an air bubble. Those two are exceptional. And as you said earlier on, you know, the probably most impressive mirror you're ever going to see.
Certainly the fastest. And Antonin Guven has been, in a sense, a bit of a model of how you learn Macau, because in the first session, as the green flag is now shown and we're in business, in the first session yesterday, he didn't look that flash, but he was quietly getting on with life, learning the circuit, learning where to be brave, got better in FP2, he's got better again in qualifying, and Antonin Guven then ending the first part of qualifying, fifth fastest. Right, so the pit lane is open. Luca Engschler is now allowed out.
I can't hear him.
No. But the circuit is there for him. So Luca Engschler has 2 minutes grace, if you like, to get out. The session is live, and the cars are given a time at which they must leave the pit lane as the latest. So he's got a bit of grace if he wants. So Engschler, Hauser, Mortara, Heinrich, Ye, Guven, Picariello, Marciello, Fuoco and Ericsson is the order. So Luca Engschler will now get the car fired up. As I say, there's a bit of grace once the green flag is shown to let the teams fire the car up, get it through a bit of warmth, and then release him down the pit lane. So the Absolute Racing team operating Luca Engschler's car. Remember, he had that huge accident here last year, but after a month or so of pretty hard recuperation in a wheelchair, he was back to full fitness, and he's had a really, really good season as Luca Engschler. Winning the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa is very much the highlight of his return. He's a multiple TCR champion. He's won the Asian, the Middle East, the Malaysian and the German championships, and a winner in the Sprint Cup as well at Manicourt this year. Right, it's been a long break, it felt like, but we're underway again. Luca Engschler down the pit lane. So they will do an out lap, 2 flyers and an in. And obviously it is the better of your 2 flying laps that you count. So we'll be keeping an eye on the clock, but also an eye on both lap times. It mirrors what happens at Spa for the Super Pole shootout there, and more often than not, it's the first lap that's the quicker of the 2. I'm not saying Spa in any way is going to reflect Macau or vice versa, but I offer you that as a snippet.
But what a treat on one of these iconic circuits. You mentioned Spa, but of course here at the Guia Circuit at Macau, to be out there in splendid isolation, no one else around you, it's just a driver's dream, isn't it, this?
Yeah, everyone moans about traffic. Well, you've got no excuse now, because there'll only be maybe 4 cars max on the circuit at any one time, and Engschler right now is the only driver out there. Christopher Hauser will be the next one to go in another Volkswagen Audi Group product. Where would GT racing be without VAG? If you think about Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini, Bentley over the years as well. So downhill goes the Lamborghini. Luca Engschler, the 25-year-old German driver in the Absolute Corsa entry, began in karting. His father, Franz Engschler, a very good touring car racer himself, and always feels with the Licky Moly sponsorship that the Engschler family has had in its racing career, whether it's dad or lad. So through police goes the Lambo, and surprising in a sense, given what we've been saying about them, that both got into the top 10.
Also, for many of us, myself included, I love the different engine tones, and in glorious isolation, you can properly hear that Lamborghini engine, can't you? Just glorious.
Yeah, it's one of the great things about GT racing, because not only are the cars all different shapes and different sizes, but there's always this little symphony going on as well from the engines. Mortara coming later, Engschler coming up towards the end of an out lap, and having tried to get everything up to temperature, it's about now coming out of Fisherman's, where he will pull the pin, and the first of his 2 flying laps is about to start. He's still weaving, still warming up the Pirelli rubber. Right, the first car onto a flying lap is Luca Engschler's Lamborghini then, as he goes across the timing line down now towards Reservoir through that very, very fast left-hander. 5 sectors to the lap. Christopher Hauser has made his way out on track as well, and he is coming up towards the end of his out lap as Engschler heads down now through Mandarin. It was this section of the circuit where he had his big moment last year, but he's okay now as he heads towards Lisboa, and when he gets there, he will break the beam at the end of Sector 1, Alan.
He's got 2 laps of this as well, so this the first of the laps, and you see he was absolutely using the most of the out lap from pit lane to continue to weave the car just up towards the start of this first flying lap. So let's see, this is the first toe in the water for this format of qualifying here at Macau. Is it going to be the first or the second lap, which is the quicker one? Well, this is the first for Luca Engschler, and Eduardo Mortara is out on his out lap now from pit lane. Christopher Hauser is also about to start his first flying lap as well.
He's just done so. Hauser's just gone over the timing line, so his first lap is live. Engstler then at the moment takes up attention. Christopher Hauser going down towards Mandarin at the moment, so Engstler lighting up the timing screen. Everything is purple, but it would be effectively because this is the first flying lap of the session. Nothing to compare it against. Little bit edgy maybe coming out of police up towards Moorish, and as the light starts to fade, the artificial light provided by the cars become ever brighter.
There you go, that's what you wanted, wasn't it? Into the early evening darkness here at Macau, and the lights are coming on around Macau as well. The whole place just changes overnight. David was saying earlier on, it's two unique features: Grand Prix racing during the day, and then when we get to the night time, all the fun of the lights of the hotels and the casinos and everything that makes the skyline of nighttime at Macau is completely unique. Right, Luca Engstler coming up towards the end of his first flying lap.
Right, so the best time anybody did in Q1 was a 2:15.9. That is the benchmark, and Luca Engstler has just gone across the line, and he has done a 2:16.718. So 2:16.718 is the first time, and we'll see how that stacks up for everybody else. Christopher Hauser has not been as quick as Engstler in the sectors, so it looks as though here the Audi is going to fall short. But then the next one after that to keep an eye on is going to be Mortara. But then you also need to bounce from cars on their first lap to their second, and Engstler on his second lap goes quicker again in sector 1. So there's a lot to keep tabs on here. First up is Hauser's first lap time, but Engstler's second looks like it may turn out to be better than his opener.
You saw just what a handful these cars are to get out of the Macau hairpin. If you just put it a centimetre wrong, makes it very tricky on the exit, and therefore your exit from the corner, and therefore your final sector of the lap is compromised just a little bit. And that did look like a little bit of a handful, didn't it, for Christopher Hauser, that time coming out of the Macau hairpin. Well, what's the sum total going to be? First flying lap is going to be a 2:18.3 for Christopher Hauser, and that compares to Luca Engstler with a 2:16.718. So significantly a better lap for Luca Engstler, and he still goes purple, purple, purple. So overall best for Luca Engstler on his second flying lap.
But this is Eduardo Mortara, who is on his first flyer and has just done an absolute best in sector 4. So this is Mortara now coming down through Black Sands in towards Fisherman. So the target for him now is a 2:16.718. That was the Engstler time. We've also just had Laurin Heinrich and instantly Guia Circuit going through onto their first lap. Ayenchen Guven is on circuit. Alessio Picariello is on track as well. So first up, let's go to Mortara across the line and see what his first effort is going to be. Puts him second behind Engstler, 2:17.983.
So Mortara goes second. Engstler is top of the times and about to complete the second of the flying laps for Luca Engstler. Car number 19, the first car out on circuit. Only just found out a few minutes before we got this qualifying session underway, and a 2:16.543 for Luca Engstler. Eduardo Mortara on the start of his second flying lap has gone purple in sector 1. Eduardo Mortara is flying on the second lap of the first part of the second lap for Eduardo Mortara.
Right, so Engstler goes better on his second lap than his first. Mortara's on a first lap. Christopher Hauser is on a second. Laurin Heinrich here is on his first. You saw a moment ago Rafael Marciello slowly out of the pit lane, doing it his way and keeping out of the way of the quicker cars. Admittedly, Laurin Heinrich is looking pretty good, but it's Mortara, I think, who might put himself top on his second lap because he's doing purples. Mortara has got to aim for a 2:16.543. This is Laurin Heinrich coming up towards the line, and Heinrich goes only fourth. That was a really subdued lap, 2:23.872. So that was a gentle lap. So he's clearly going for one shot, not too good, if you see what I mean. This is Hauser for his second lap, goes across the line, up to second. So that was better, 2:16.968.
Meanwhile, Mortara has gone purple, purple, purple in his second flying lap. So this could potentially be a nice lap for Eduardo Mortara.
So first up, Guia Circuit coming down towards Fisherman's, and this will be his first flying lap. So at the moment you've got Engstler from Haza will get Ye over the line. Then we'll worry about Mortara as Ye comes up towards our bend. As I say, you've got people on their first lap, people on their second. So far, people on lap 2 have gone quicker. Ye goes up to second on a 2:16.642.
And look for Mortara, he's just got the final sector to complete now. So Eduardo Mortara, car number 63, the Lamborghini goes top. So overall best in every bar, the final sector, and a 2:15.924 for the 10-time winner here at Macau, Eduardo Mortara.
And that means that lap is better than anything anybody did in Q1. He's quicker than Ericsson by 0.003 of a second.
Oh, wow.
So it's tight, this. You forget your Q1 time if you've made it into Q2, but by way of a guide, 0.003 quicker than the best Q1 time. Right, Ye is on a second lap, so that means that Enschler has done, Haza has done, Mortara has done. This is Ian Guven coming up to the end of his first lap, so now you need to be in the 15s and no messing.
And Lauren Heinrich has gone overall best in sector 3 as well, just to point that one out.
Rafael Marciello is onto a flying lap now. Ian Guven is across the timing line, and the Porsche goes by 5th fastest. That was a slowish 2:19.812. There's more to come from him as well. It looks like the Porsche plan is to do a build lap and a flyer, whereas the others seem to have been on it for 2.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, doesn't it? And Joel Eriksson has only just gone on to start the pit out lap.
Heinrich goes second then, 2:16.317. So everybody so far quicker on lap 2 than lap 1. So it's Mortara, Heinrich, then Enschler, Ye, he's got another lap to do. Haza, Guven with another lap in the book. Picariello, 2 to go. Marciello, 2 to go. We've not yet had anything out of Fuoco and Ericsson. This is Yeifei's second lap. We've just had Antonio Fuoco start a flyer. Alessio Picariello, in the meantime, is about to do his first flying lap in the 911, and as he goes across the line, Picariello third, 2:16.493.
So goes third, Mortara, Heinrich and Picariello, the top 3. And that's the first of the flying laps for 911. Alessio Picariello goes into third.
This is Ye 5th now in the Ferrari, breaks the beam and goes quickest. Ye Ferrari at 2:15.809. So the Le Mans winner is fastest at Macau for now, 2:15.809. And the pattern continues of being quicker on your second lap than your first. This is Rafael Marciello's first effort, and he's up towards the Donna Maria hairpin.
So this long left-hander at Donna Maria and up towards the Melco hairpin.
This is his first flying lap, first time we'll have seen. Guven's on his second and has done an absolute best third sector, but this is Marciello. We've just had Joel Eriksson start a flying lap, but Marciello is always one to watch, Alan.
He certainly is. He's not gone purple in any of these sectors thus far. He's now completed sector number 4, and we wait for what Rafael Marciello does at the end of this lap. Guven has gone overall best in sector 3, and that's the 53 car of Rafael Marciello we're looking at.
And that's Guven, who's almost caught him. This is Guven's second lap, remember. Marciello will go through for a gentle 2:22. Guven goes third on a 2:16.2. So 2:16.262. Ian Guven is third. It is Ye, Mortara, Guven, Heinrich, Alessio Picariello's on his second lap, and that from Rafael Marciello, as I say, was a fairly gentle start, 2:22.080.
Looking towards lap 2, I reckon, for Rafael Marciello, and there's the proof. Goes purple in sector 1, and Alessio Picariello has just gone purple in sectors 3 and 4 as well. One more sector to go on lap number 2 for Picariello.
It's impressive, isn't it, that Mortara is still up there second. This is Antonio Fuoco's first effort, about to be boxed off then as the Ferrari comes through, and Antonio Fuoco goes across the line. Only 7th fastest. That was a 2:16.788.
Surprising that, isn't it? Picariello goes third, so 2 overall best sectors, 3 and 4. Rafael Marciello, he was overall best in sector 1. He's in a BMW, he's at Macau. They do purples in sector 1, and he does it yet again, and hasn't done so in sector 2. So we'll wait and see what Rafael Marciello is able to give us in sectors 4 and 5. First 3 sectors are complete.
He's about 4/10 down as Marciello in sector 3. He's about a 10th down in sector 2. So a lot of the heavy lifting is done by sector 1. This is Joel Eriksson, the last driver to do his first flying lap. Remember, he did a 2:15.927 in the first part of qualifying to get him into this. The fastest so far is Guia Circuit on that 2:15.809, and Eriksson up towards the timing line, breaks the beam, and he has a pretty subdued first lap at 2:21.285.
2:21.285 for Joel Eriksson. He topped the times in Q1. At the moment, he's 9th, but he's got one more flying lap to go.
Whereas Marciello does not. This is his last. Fuoco is on his second effort as well. So where does Rafael Marciello slot in as he comes over the timing line? The answer is 4th fastest. That is a 2:16.106. So 4th for Marciello.
Rafael Marciello then goes 4th. Fei, top of the times. Eduardo Mortara, that is so impressive. Eduardo Mortara, 2nd in the order. We never got a glimpse of that kind of speed, did we?
No, I mean, we were thinking for pretty much most of that session that he wasn't going to make it in. And not only has he made it in, he could well be on the front row. And if you're on the front row here, you can be a winner. This is Fuoco, who might have something to say about it. Fuoco had a fairly modest first lap at 2:16.788, but now he finds himself 8th and in desperate need to improve. So Antonio Fuoco comes through our bend. Remember, he led the race last year, the main race. He goes across the timing line and goes quickest of all. 2:15.535. Fuoco flies to the top of the times for now.
Super lap, that 2:15.535 for Antonio Fuoco. Yep, he did. He led this race last year, albeit briefly, but the number 50 Ferrari goes top of the times, 2:15.535. Looking at Joel Eriksson, car number 46, the Audi. 2 more sectors to go for Joel Eriksson.
I think Fuoco's done this because Joel Eriksson is slightly away from the best time in each sector, and he's not doing any absolute best. So I reckon Fuoco might have done this, but the fascination is going to be where Eriksson will slot in, having been the fastest man in Q1. He has raced a GT car here, in fairness, in the past. He was 7th in the GT Cup back in 2019, and he's right up against the wall coming off Fisherman's. There is nothing being left on the table here, is there, for number 46 then, Joel Eriksson, who comes through our bend. He's the last car, the last driver to take the checkered flag, and where will he slot in as he breaks the beam? Joel Eriksson is 5th fastest, the time 2:16.097. 5th it is, but Antonio Fuoco and Guia Circuit make it an all-Ferrari front row at Macau.
First time we've had that format of qualifying here, and it was a thriller, wasn't it? My goodness.
I'm sure that in his office on the other side of the circuit, Stefan Rattel has been watching all of that and will now be nodding with a big smile on his face, thinking, yeah, that's worked. The ultimate GT enthusiast is Stefan. Try to keep him away from a GT race of any weekend and you're a better man, because he's always somewhere. He's got so many championships to look after, but he bounces from continent to continent to keep an eye on GT racing, and he loves coming here. And why not? When you get a qualifying session like that, it's been a long wait, hasn't it? It's been a long day, but it was worth waiting for. And that lap by Antonio Fuoco, I confess to thinking he's a bit of a star. You've got 2 Le Mans winners, one from last year, one from this, on the front row, an all-Ferrari front row as well, and the margin between them, 0.274 of a second. Antonio Fuoco then tops the times in the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup here at Macau. So the cars make their way to the pit lane in the nick of time, because in just over 25 minutes' time, the road's open.
Ferrari in the number 97 bus on the front row of the grid. That would be something to endure, wouldn't it? But absolutely superb. That's a headline, isn't it? Ferrari lock out the front row at Macau. Antonio Fuoco and Guia Circuit in the 83 and 50 Ferraris. And another story as well, Eduardo Mortara qualifies in 3rd place, and the Porsche alongside. So Lamborghini and Porsche on the 2nd row. Joel Eriksson and Rafael Marciello on the 3rd row of the grid for what is going to be a thrilling qualification race tomorrow.
Antonio Fuoco's car back to the team. And there'll be much to celebrate, I'm sure, as Antonio Fuoco then sets the gun time. 2:15.535. And the way that he could race last year and overtake means he's very much a force to be reckoned with. And a pole position anywhere is special. A pole position in Macau is very special. Antonio Fuoco tops the times here in our new Super Pole qualifying format. A very happy driver indeed. And bravo, Antonio Fuoco on top. Antonio Fuoco poses for the cameras. And we'll start tomorrow's qualification race at just after 2:30 from the front of the grid there. Guia Circuit, who I think will be pretty pleased as well to be on the front row. It's going to be a fascinating battle between those two. And then you've got Mortara and Picariello, third and fourth on the grid. But all smiles for the Ferrari drivers. Once they finish posing for cameras, they've got to go to scrutineering to go through the driver weight checks. And the vanquished Joel Eriksson has just arrived in the pit lane as well, but it was a mighty effort from him. One of the other stars of that session, totally, Eduardo Mortara. But Antonio Fuoco and Guia Circuit are at the top of the times, from Eduardo Mortara third, Alessio Picariello fourth ahead of Joel Eriksson, and Rafael Marciello sixth. It's Ian Schenguven seventh, Laurin Heinrich eighth, Luca Engel at ninth. Christopher Haase rounds out the top 10. It's a Ferrari front row lockout in the FIA GT World Cup at Macau. The back of the grid, Lawrence Fantor will start 11th ahead of Benji Goethe and Adderley Fong. Dorian Boccolacci ahead of Andy Dang, and Sheldon van der Linde rounds out the grid. But Ferrari fans rejoice. They are in the best possible place for the qualification race for tomorrow's FIA GT World Cup here at Macau.